and he pounded the beast to death with his bare fists. What is he, like 16? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leanna if you're new, and welcome to episode 9 of Makeup and Mythology, a series I'm doing on my channel where I do my makeup and also tell you an ancient myth. So last time we covered Jason, the Greek hero, the head of the Argonauts, and his quest to get the Golden Fleece, and how he basically peaked too early and just didn't have a happy ending. For this episode, I thought we would talk about Theseus, another Greek hero. I know I said I was going to move beyond Greek myths, and that is coming very, very soon. There were a lot of stories that I did want to cover just because I love Greek mythology so much. I think after this one I want to do one more Greek one, and then we can move on to different stories from different cultures, which I am so excited about, so please stay tuned. Alright, so Theseus is even less famous than Jason, and I felt like Jason was already kind of not that famous, especially when compared to Perseus or Hercules, but I think Theseus definitely deserves some recognition, so here we go. Once upon a time, King Aegis of Athens, on a trip, visited the oracle at Delphi, who told him that he should not have any sexual relations with any woman before he got home from his trip, or he would die of grief. And he was like, okay, that's a weird thing to say, but sure. And while he was visiting King Pythias at Troezen, he got drunk, and Pythias, this dude, sent his own daughter Aethra to seduce King Aegis, because he wanted his daughter to produce an heir for Aegis's throne. He pimped out his own daughter. That is so gross and rude. Some versions of this story cite that Poseidon also slept with Aethra that night and was actually the one who impregnated her, but either way, Aegis slept with her. The next morning when he left his sandals and sword under like a big fat rock and told Aethra that if she gave birth to a boy, and if he grew strong enough to lift the rock and get his sword and sandals from underneath it, he should come to Athens to claim his inheritance. So if she gave birth to a girl, don't bother. If she gave birth to a weak boy, don't bother. So Aethra gave birth to Theseus in some versions, son of Aegis, in some other versions, son of Poseidon, but either way, you know, Aegis thought that he was his son. And when Theseus reached manhood, he was able to lift the rock and claim the sword and sandals. Aegis had also left a ship for Theseus so that he could sail safely from Troezen to Athens, but Theseus was like, no, I want to take the dangerous route. I want to be just like the hero Hercules. I want to be a hero. So Theseus took the dangerous overland route, which was beset with robbers. Now, I know I just made fun of him for wanting to take the dangerous route, but it was because of this that he managed to destroy a lot of bandits and robbers and killers that were plaguing the road to Athens. So out of all the heroes that we've covered, I feel like he is the closest to an actual hero. One of the bandits on the road to Athens had an iron club that he liked to kill travelers with. Another bandit made travelers wash their feet and then kicked them off a cliff into a sea while they were doing so, and if they didn't die on impact, there was a man-eating turtle at the bottom of the cliff, so you know, that would take care of it. Another bandit bent 2 pine trees to the ground, tied his victims to the tops, and released the trees so that the victims would be catapulted to their deaths. I know it's pretty morbid, but honestly it's kind of funny. The most famous one, Procrustes, named so probably because he was crusty, tied his victims to the bed, and if they were too long for the bed, he would be like, let me fix that for you, and would chop their limbs off so that they would fit the bed, and if they were too small, he tied their arms and legs and stretched them out until they died. Theseus managed to kill these killers by their own methods, and therefore made the path to Athens safe for travelers. Go Theseus, honestly. Go him. When he got to Athens, he was proclaimed as a hero, so he went to find his father, King Aegis. Now, if you remember the sorceress Medea from the last episode, Jason's scorned ex-mistress, if you didn't see the last episode, it's fine. She's just a sorceress, that's all you need to know. Well, it turns out that she's with King Aegis now. I guess this is where she went after she escaped Jason, and she and King Aegis had sons. Medea, because she had sorceress powers, instantly knew that Theseus was Aegis's real son, and because she wanted her own sons to rule and become king, she was like, hey Aegis, this guy is really sketch. He's an evildoer and he was sent by your enemies to kill you. We should poison him. So she prepared for Theseus some poisoned wine, and just as Theseus was about to drink from it, Aegis saw his sword and instantly recognized it as the very one that he had left under the rock years prior, and knocked the cup out of Theseus's hand. The father and son duo rejoiced, and Medea was forced to flee once again. Now King Aegis's city of Athens owed King Minos of Crete for the death of one of his sons, and to punish them, King Minos demanded that every 9 years 14 youths from Athens would be sent to the Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull, for him to destroy. The Minotaur lived in the Labyrinth, a complex maze from which it was almost impossible to escape. So when the time came to sacrifice 14 youths again, Theseus was like, okay, I'm gonna be one of the 14, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna destroy the Minotaur, I'll be back, and I'm gonna bring all of us back. And this will be the end of the 14 youths sacrifice thingy. Wow, what a hero. Of course, Aegis wasn't going to be happy about this, but he was like, okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. So he gave his son 2 sails, a white one and a black one, and he said, when you come back, if you succeed, use the white sail. If you fail, use the black one, so I know. And Theseus was like, okay, father, whatever you say. And he set sail for Crete. And when Theseus arrived at Crete, Princess Ariani, the daughter of King Minos, fell madly in love with him and wanted to help him. So from Daedalus, the man who created the Minotaur's labyrinth, Ariadne got a golden thread that Theseus could use to find his way out of the maze once he had entered. So Theseus and the other 13 youths entered the labyrinth, where he found the Minotaur, who was asleep, which, you know, is awfully convenient. And he pounded the beast to death with his bare fists. What is he, like 16? Having promised to marry Ariadne for her help, he took her with him, but at the island of Naxos, he deserted her, either by accident or on purpose. Some sources say he had to abandon her because she was already promised to the god Dionysus. If he forgot her though, what a jerk. And if he left her there on purpose, what a jerk. Either way, what a jerk. Although, you know what, if you told me that he was prone to forgetfulness, I would believe you because of what I'm about to tell you. So, remember the black sail, white sail thing that his dad told him to do? Well, he fucking forgot. And because he departed with the black sail, he also came back with the black sail because he forgot to freaking change it to signify to his father that he was successful. And Aegis, watching the ship from the cliff, saw the black sail, so he thought that Theseus was unsuccessful and had died, so he flung himself into the sea off the cliff. And thus the original prophecy that if he slept with somebody on his way home that one time, he would die of grief, was fulfilled. But anyway, because King Aegeus flung himself into the sea was thereafter called the Aegean Sea. So, you know, there's that. He couldn't have waited for the ship to come back, like he didn't think that his son would forget. He's so impatient, but honestly same. Upon returning to Athens, Theseus found that his dad was dead, so he took over. A democracy was established. He really believed in allowing citizens to run things as they wished. He believed that democracy made people responsible and prosperous. He liked helping the poor and unfortunate. He befriended the blind and exiled Oedipus, and also welcomed the blood-stained Hercules to Athens when no one else would take him in. At one point, Theseus went to the land of the Amazons and brought back their queen, Hippolyta, as his wife, and knocked her up to create a son, Hippolytus. The Amazons were like, hell no, we want our queen back. She's not to be wifed up like some regular lady. But then the queen was like, I don't want to go back, so the Amazons killed her, and then Theseus got rid of them. Now some versions actually cite that Hercules killed her in one of his labors, but I guess this version with Theseus is another story of how she died. Theseus at one point became bros with this very, very reckless guy, Perseus, a guy who stole Theseus's cattle just for fun, just to see what would happen. He was a bit of a troublemaker. Actually, a lot of a troublemaker. And when Theseus pursued him, Perseus was like, wow, okay, I admire you. You know, I admire your spirit and your you know. So, you know, you can choose how you're gonna punish me. And Theseus was like, this guy. And the two became close friends. And they went on a bunch of adventures together. Perseus was a really, really, really bad influence. At one point, the guys decided that it would be a good idea to go kidnap some women to have as their brides. So Theseus decided to kidnap Helen, that's Helen of Troy, but she was still a little girl at this point, so he just wanted to wait for her to grow up so that he could wife her later, which is really gross. Thankfully, Helen was later recovered by her brothers, and Perseus was like, okay, well, I want Persephone, the freaking queen of the underworld. Let's go kidnap Persephone. Wow. Wow. So they went to the underworld to try to kidnap Persephone, and there they were greeted by Hades, the lord of the underworld and also Persephone's husband, and he welcomed them and told them to sit down. Little did they know that once they sat down, they would not be able to get back up, because what they had sat on was the chair of oblivion, and they lost all their memory and had no idea who they were, or what their purpose was. And there they stayed in the underworld on the chair of oblivion for 4 years, until Hercules came down for his 12th and final labor to beat up the three-headed dog Cerberus, and it was only then that Hercules managed to free Theseus, but he had to leave Perseus behind. Poor sucker, but just as well. You know, he was a really, really bad influence. So if you remember the son that Theseus had with Hippolytus, well, Hippolytus grew to manhood. He became an expert huntsman under the goddess Artemis. He didn't really care about women, probably emulating the goddess Artemis and her choice to remain a virgin. But he really did enjoy spending time with his dad, and when Theseus took a woman, Phaedra, as his wife, Hippolytus didn't really care about her, and she was like, wow, he's ignoring me, so I'm in love. And she tried to sleep with him. I think Phaedra watches too much Orange YouTube. But anyway, Hippolytus was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to sleep with you, stepmother. And she was like, damn it! And after he rejected her, she took her own life, and in her suicide note, she wrote to Theseus that Hippolytus had violated her, and that's why she was dead. And that's why she took her own life. And Theseus could not be convinced that this wasn't true. I feel like this trope is so common, especially in Chinese dramas, like the whole stepmother wants to sleep with stepson thing, and then he rejects her, and then he's like framed, and the king wants his son dead because he believes his wife over his son, and it's just like a big fat mess. And because of this, Theseus was like, oh my god damn it! And he prayed to Poseidon to kill his ingrate son, and Poseidon was like, okay. And when Hippolytus was driving his chariot along the beach, Poseidon sent a sea bullock to splash out of the sea, and that scared Hippolytus's horses that were dragging his chariot. So he was flung from the chariot, and the fall killed him. And then Artemis was like, God fucking damn it, Theseus! He was innocent! And Theseus was like, no! And then he became really sad, obviously, because he fucked up. And as he grew older, there was less and less to live for, and at last he died at the hands of King Lycomedes, who pushed him off a cliff because of a dispute over some territory. Eventually, the Athenians erected a tomb for their hero and king, and it also served as a sanctuary for defenseless persons, which, you know, is fitting because that's what he was about, helping the defenseless. You know, although there were some times that Theseus fucked up real bad, I do feel like Theseus was more of a hero than Hercules, Perseus, and Jason combined, because he actually wanted to help other people. Hercules did what he did because he wanted to make himself feel better for killing his entire family. Perseus wanted to protect his own family, which, you know, isn't a bad thing. But, you know, he also wanted a hot naked lady as his wife. And he also killed Medusa for no reason, which I'm still mad about. And Jason wanted to be king. You could say that Theseus wanted to be a hero because of his thirst for glory. And, you know, while that can be seen as kind of selfish, I do feel like out of the four, he is the one that most deserves the hero title. But yeah, he sucked a little too, for sure. Especially what happened with Ariani, his dad, and his son. So definitely not too great with family or people who are close to him. But, you know, definitely not the worst guy we've covered in this whole series. So that is all for today's episode, the very last episode of Vlogmas. Wow, what a month. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!